All right. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Right. Jenny will not be joining us this evening, but we have all of our other board members here, and Dr. Irish, Dr. Clifford, and all our student reps. So, okay. Can I get a motion to adopt the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Or, do I, yes? All right, thanks. All those in favor? Aye. Thanks. Okay, we have a presentation here from our superintendent. Proclamation, in fact.
All right, good evening. I am here tonight to recognize the board and have a proclamation from the superintendent of Anacortes School District, number 103, Skagit County, State of Washington, to recognizing School Board Recognition Month. Whereas board members Jenny Beltramini, Heather Brennan, Diana Farnsworth, Jack Curtis, and Meredith McElmoyle, and student board representatives Gabby Olson, Paige Kirby, Casey Knight, and Zephyrin Earhart dedicate many hours of time to improve the lives of students in Anacortes, and whereas the board has a deep commitment to academic, social emotional, and equitable learning for all students, and whereas student representatives take a leading role in providing student voice in policy deliberations and work diligently on annual research projects, and whereas the board dedicates time to its own learning through conferences, retreats, and study sessions, and whereas the board has earned the Board of Distinction Award 10 times from the Washington State Schools Directors Association, and now therefore be it proclaimed by the superintendent of Anacortes School District number 103 that the staff, community, and students of Anacortes greatly appreciate the dedication and commitment to student success demonstrated by our school board. We applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, you have a certificate in front of you, so we're going to ask you to step up and have a photo opportunity when holding your certificate, please.
Holding it?
Yes, holding it.
Can they be with us?
All right, and then I'd like to ask Dr. Hannaran to come up to the podium. He has something he would like to share with the board as well in regards to School Month Appreciation.
Thank you, Dr. Irish. And to think that I used to imagine that you were a serious bunch. So before I talk about Island View's thank you, I'd like to welcome Kelsey Riker, who's our new behavior intervention specialist at Island View, and she helps in so many ways. And when I was thinking about board appreciation, I thought for about 10 seconds, and then I went over to Kelsey's office because she's so creative. I said, "Can you help with this?" And she just took off. So Island View staff and students put together a Pocket Joy book. It's just filled with all our students' photographs, all our staff photographs. And my thought is, if you ever have a moment where you think that this hard volunteer work that you're doing isn't worth it, open up your Pocket Joy and take a look at the smiling faces of our students and staff who love you and appreciate your hard work. So thank you. And Kelsey also put together some, how did you put it? Honorary Island View Eagle charcuterie boxes. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And I also wanted to thank our student board reps who I think contributed to some of the lovely things that they had waiting for us today too. So
Ryan. This is
thank
a great
you.
idea. Thank you. Love this. I love this.
The backpacks are from Anacortes High School. And the little treats and cards are from the ASB leadership.
So thoughtful. This is wonderful. Oh, thank you.
You, Kelsey.
Oh, that's so thoughtful. Look at the little box. Look at this. Oh,
Leaving
they're
us.
so
Yeah,
cute.
thank Oh, thank you.
Okay, no more surprises or photos or okay. All right. Yeah, surprise photos. Really? We should have known. All right. Molly Huggins with Capsani High School.
Hi, everybody. Ooh, hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having us tonight. Thank you guys all for all of your hard work. I love working with our students and being able to have them elevate their voice. I just think it's such a cool opportunity, and I love partnering with you guys to help them understand our schools. I've seen each of their leadership grow a ton, and it's just really cool to see. So thank you guys for all of your work. Tonight, I wanted to just go to my favorite topic, which is data, and dive in. And I wanted to give you guys just a little treat tonight of some positive data that we've seen at Capsani. And first of all, the photos are just kind of a moment of all of the beauty that we have at our school and the joy that I get to experience as being the principal there. When you walk in there, it's just such a wonderful place to be for all students. And so I just wanted to capture that in some of our photos. But really quick, I just wanted to show you. I'll introduce who's here because they're going to talk in just a moment. Holly Byerly is here. She is, if you've been to Capsani, you've seen a lot of photos all around our high school. Holly is a great contributor to all of those photos, and we love that about Holly. We're a little sad she's graduating this year. And then Lenny Hickson, he is our famous paraeducator. There are pictures that Holly has printed out of Lenny all over our high school. So we thought that they would be the perfect people to come tonight because they really represent our school. So here is some data that we looked at. I brought this data to our students and to our staff. I put a little note of what monthly progress means. Monthly progress is how we measure students in alternative learning. So every month we sit down and ask students to meet a specific goal. And if they've met at least 70% of that goal or higher, they've met progress. And if not, they have not met progress. So this, I'll just let you look at it. There's some things to celebrate here. And what I asked students and staff to do is to tell me what they noticed about this data. And I asked them to tell me what they why they think this is happening, essentially. And so Holly wrote, we had a little conversation in our leadership group about this, but then she wrote something up that she wanted to share with y'all.
I believe that the Yonder pouches have contributed to better social and academic outcomes. Last year, classrooms felt pretty dead, especially in the PM session. I would even say it felt dystopian because last year we literally had to have a phone break or people would be on their phones all the time. Even with a phone break, I would see people just sneak onto their phones. Now I feel we are more lively because without our phones, we are forced to either work or talk to each other. Another factor contributing to better outcomes is mixed grade level classes. Last year, classes were split by grade level. This year, all classes are mixed between the grades. I feel that was a good idea because everyone feels more equal and socialized with one another. In conclusion, my experience at CAP has been really good because I get more one-on-one time with my teacher. Thanks to CAP, I feel confident in my ability to succeed after high school.
Thank you, Holly. And then Lenny wanted to share what he saw and what he thinks. And he has this secret eye where he sees everything. So definitely listen to him.
Oh man, that's scary. No, I'm kidding. Hi everyone. So I wrote down what I wanted to talk about multiple times, but the more I thought about it, the longer my note got, right? So I consolidated to one little piece of paper here, just to keep me honest and like within a minute time frame, right? So, but the Yonder pouches have given the students the ability to work without interruption. They really have, right? Like the students can walk in, they put their phone away, and that's it. It's work time, right? I mean, yes, the work is performed on the Chromebook, right? But they're not constantly looking at the phone, constantly worried about chatting with one another or chatting on Snapchat, whatever it may be that they're doing on the phones, right? Like that is gone, which is terrific. They can work for 2.5 hours without interruption, right? So, which is great academically, right? We see the growth there. We see them completing the work, which is great. Now, looking at it like through my lens, like socially, it's been terrific as well. Okay, they interact with one another. They build relationships with each other, but they build relationships with the Cap Sante team, right? Like we're not seen as the adults that are always nagging them to take away their phones. We're like, hey, the phones are gone. Let's talk, right? Let's talk about basketball. Let's talk about cars is a huge topic right now because so many students are getting cars. It's great. We also have implemented like the use of card games or board games, right? Essentially, like so during break, much like Holly is saying, the phones aren't even a factor anymore. We sit down and we play games, and it's heartwarming as an adult to see like right before break is coming, the chatter starts about like which game are the kids going to play or the students going to play. And then who's going to play with it. And then, oh, hey, do you guys want to include, me or Dane or Corey? And then they run around and ask the teachers if we want to play too, right? So, during the 9:20 to 9:30 break in the mornings, you can usually find a group of us playing Spotted or Goldfish or something, right? But it's a huge alternative to them being locked on the phone for hours or again, forcing them to put the phone away. So the Yonder pouches are great. They've contributed hugely to the success this year at Cap Sante. So proud to say, like, I get to see it every day. So, all right.
Thank you, Lenny. All right. And then finally, I just wanted to say, kind of to summarize, we see data anecdotally when I speak with my students or talk with our kids and talk with our staff, but we also are seeing it in our Panorama survey. The student belonging went up 12% this year to last year. On average, our academic progress went up 18.5% each month. And then students also are just anecdotally reporting that they feel so much more connected to one another, and that they feel like they have friends at school, and a lot of them have said, I've never felt that way. We have always done really well with our teacher to student relationships, but the student to student relationships has always suffered from our data. And this year it's completely switched. The students are so connected to each other. We're like, be quiet. And it's just a different model, So I just wanted to share that quickly with you guys. And thanks for having us tonight. Do you guys have any questions? Yes. Oh, great question. No. So these are what we are implementing school-wide. You do? Excellent. You must read your email, and your teachers must be doing a good job communicating. So these are what we're implementing school-wide here at Anacortes High School at semester. Some of your teachers have done that. But at CAP, they're just the individual pouches, and then they lock. So then students put them in their backpack or leave them in the hanger themselves, too. Yeah, good question. Any other questions?
Maybe not. All right. I just want to say thank you, especially thank you, Holly, for coming in. Your perspective is super important. And thank you both for putting that through the lens of panorama data. That's super helpful for us to see your anecdotal experiences and put through that lens is super helpful for us. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
And Molly and Lenny. But Holly especially for coming and sharing. And good job on the play, by the way, if I didn't get to tell you in person. All right.
It's good to see that progress. Really good to see.
All right. Public comments. And we do have one. Sarah Mehoff. I'm sorry if I'm saying your last name incorrectly. I've only ever read it. And you have 3 minutes. And there's a handy timer over there, too.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Sarah Myhoff. I have 2 kids in the district. You might remember that I've been here a couple of times before to express my concerns about the prevalence of discriminatory language and actions in our school buildings. I understand that there has been work done to develop training for staff at the high school and middle school on ways to interrupt hate speech, and that this will also be shared with students and caregivers. I want to thank you for making this effort toward changing the environment in our school buildings. I hope that there will be continuing efforts to educate students about why this speech is not okay. I believe this program will be a great tool for staff as well as students, and I appreciate that you want to share this, that you want families to have access to these tools as well, so that we can support you in these efforts. As caregivers, we will have the opportunity to help reinforce this at home, answer questions, and it has the added benefit of offering tools for us even beyond the school setting. I look forward to my kids learning about the program. They are looking forward to learning, and I'm looking forward to the resources that will be shared with families. This is important work, and I appreciate that you're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our superintendent and assistant superintendent comments.
Thank you. Well, I know I formally recognized you in a in the proclamation, but I want to I just wanted to share my heartfelt gratitude for you as a team, for your support, for the common voice that we have, for the vision that you set for our district, and especially as we're continually facing challenging times with the budget and the difficult conversations we've had to have as a team in executing some hard decisions, and that's not going to end. I mean, we have many years to go of very difficult decisions. I want to thank you for today. You're focusing your attention on Resolution 997 for the fiscal 25-26 stabilization plan. And I appreciate that you're maintaining your focus on making sure that we have financial health for years to come. I plan to send out a communication to staff tomorrow and then to the community as well, sharing the big picture for why we're facing these challenges to ensure that everybody has a deep understanding of what challenges lie ahead. We are in the process of identifying reductions for up to $2 million. And we will work really hard in the next couple weeks. Mike is working really hard in the next couple weeks to finalize our enrollment projections. As you know, we're probably going to be about a 1% decline in enrollment next year. We're going to identify reductions for positions and programs, and then process that with our district leadership team. Our district leadership team includes our principals, supervisors, as well as the district leaders at the district office. We're going to look to continue to process those reductions with our labor management groups, and then review all retirements and resignations, and then, if needed, we're going to do a reduction in force, which we'll talk about later and throughout the year. And then throughout all of this process, we have 6 open contracts with our that we're bargaining with our labor groups. That includes AEA, our admin assistants, our paras, our principals, SEIU, and ATIP. And so I'm grateful for not only the direction that you're setting and the vision that you're setting and making sure that we have rich academic programming, that we have rich social emotional learning, that we continue to support partnerships across our community, but that you're also looking at the stewardship of this district and helping set the tone for that. So thank you for making that happen. I have lots more to share later on about the curriculum and instruction pillar report. There's a lot of good things happening, despite the fact that we are facing financial challenges. So thank you for everything that you do.
I also want to appreciate you. You give a lot, and you are just super knowledgeable and informative, and ask lots of questions, and are continuing to learn. You are supporting us with legislative work, and locally and outside of that. And just, I know that you've been great partners, and also allowed us to learn and grow by asking really the hard questions, and being that conduit between the community and the school. And so I just really appreciate each and every one of you. And then I'm just going to kind of do some celebrations of normal daily operations right now. We are in the middle of finishing our the staff survey portion of Panorama. So we're going to be able, our principals and our schools are going to get feedback on what's the strong cultures and where they continue to deepen their work within the culture of their schools. And so we're making a lot of progress on that. And students are in the middle of, K-8 students are in the middle of the MAP progress monitoring. So we've got some student and staff progress monitoring information that we're gathering. We're hitting the end of semester, so students are working really hard to close out the year at the semester, as well as staff. For the secondary, not the end of the year, sorry. And then elementary is just continuing to work hard to get prepared for conferences coming up in a couple of weeks. So there's great. We're going to start shifting and seeing what happens next semester as we come into next year and next week. I'm all confused about days and weeks and years, so I apologize. And then I just wanted to thank all of our staff, students for honoring the days that you have and hopefully making the best of your Friday. But our staff for really coming and deeply engaging and learning on Friday. We both got to visit each of the schools and participate in some of the training sessions that they had. I was able to stop into both of the hate speech and bias training at both schools, and they were actually talking about the one that I happened to be was in the middle school, and the staff was actually giving feedback on and questions of, okay, when you do this, present this to students, here are some things that you should be considering and thinking about and thinking through this lens. So it was beautiful, and that's what they intended. It was to train staff, but also to prepare for how to best engage with students and sharing that information. So every school, they really brought different ways of honoring, did some drum circles so that the staff got to see what their other colleagues are doing and what arts look like and the different level of instruction that happens and the planning and what you get out of it and as you're learning from that aspect. So it just was a great day. And finally, you heard about this at the study session, but our paraeducators got to get a really deep, very extensive and probably one of their best trainings on behavior and understanding how to support and proactively address behavior in the school setting. And that was because of a grant that Kristen Kohler got and was able to be implemented. And so they really appreciated it, and I'm looking forward to the continued work that comes from that.
All right, thank you. Now it's time for board comments, and I have a few, but I want to start with thanking you two especially, but your entire leadership team for, it's a collaboration that we have, and I do understand that may not be what every board relationship looks like, and I'm very grateful for your leadership in that and how we work together. And you've highlighted a lot of the work, but so much of that, seeing today in our study session, how much your team is doing that's allowing us to have really great successes, which we also hear about from students in spite of all that stuff, of course, the cuts and things, that you're navigating that, and we're still supporting students now where they're at and finding every possible grant partnership opportunity to do that work. And then I also I saw the very tail end of the hate speech one because I was coming to see the librarian training that happened afterwards that she ran for the teachers. And they were, it was a fabulous energy, and they were really excited about it, and got to see those tools in action. And so really appreciate you guys making that an opportunity and putting it out there. Does anyone else have any board comments?
I just wanted to, I know it's public now, I just wanted to formally and publicly congratulate Dr. Clifford on her selection as the next superintendent for South Whidbey. Congratulations to you. Well deserved, and I just wanted to publicly recognize you for that honor.
Thank you. Yes. We'll try to just celebrate and not be too sad. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Oh. Gabby.
Wait, is this okay? There we go. I just wanted to thank all of you guys on the board for, like, every single one of you guys has taught me something different about leadership and who I want to be when I grow up and what I want to do when I grow up. And I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity to be on the school board because I appreciate it every single day. So thank you guys.
Yes, I completely agree with what Gabby just said. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and it really gives me the chance to connect with the community and in the full district, which I really appreciate. Also, there is a girls' home wrestling duel on the 30th of next week, and it starts at 6. So you guys should all come. It's senior night, so we're really excited.
I also want to echo what they said. I'm also very grateful for being on the board. It's an incredible experience for me, and it's also important for me for what I want to do with my future. And also, there is the Broadcast Club is hosting Rock the Island on the 31st. The annual Battle of the Bands event at Buxton's at 7. You guys should all go.
I guess I'll let go. I'll let go too. I'm so appreciative of all of you guys for letting me and Zephyrin come in to be new board reps for this year and next year. My board comments are The Lightning Thief will be coming, the musical will be coming in March, late March. I'm super excited, and it's been so fun to learn more about acting and what goes into musicals and plays and all that stuff from Mr. Burnett. Also, shout out Mr. Burnett. And then connecting to the hate speech conferences that we've been talking about, I am starting to see posters being put up from teachers, so I want you guys to know that that is being seen and implemented at the high school. So, yes.
The last minute? Okay. All right. Well, then we'll roll right into your building reports. Island View Elementary, Gabby.
Okay, so with Island View, about a week ago we discussed doing a different format of our, oh, Mr. Hannerhan left, dang it. I forgot to remind him that I was reporting on his school. Anyways, a new, more relaxed style of the building report, so just more conversationally based, and I found it went very well. I got more information that I think I was curious about, and I think that the board might want to hear. So the first thing I noticed when I walked into the school was I passed the staff development day. I went on that Friday, and it was just so packed of every staff member sharing so many different ideas and thoughts they had, and I kind of like eavesdropped for a minute, and it was really cool. But yeah, I just thought that was something to highlight. And then I found Mr. Hannerhan, and I asked him what his goals were or main things they were talking about at the staff development day. And they said they're very focused right now on what the school board is focused on, so I thought that was cool. They're working on sense of belonging and engagement. So we talked a bit about that and different ways that they're working on that, and they're using a lot of like hand-eye coordination things, which I thought was cool because I always love doing those. And then I asked if there was a success story he wanted to share, and he told me about a third grade student that came last April and he was really struggling with staying in class and learning, staying in class, and the student was part of the special education program. And then so they had a team meet weekly with different para-educators, different teachers, and they just made plans to how they're going to motivate him to stay in class, with not just telling him stay in class, like different strategies they could use for him to stay in class and want to be there. And then now he hasn't left class in over 2 months, so that was a really cool story. Yeah, good job. And then something that they're really working on right now is with their academic goals, highlighting math, reading, and science for 3rd through 5th grade is a huge focus of theirs right now. And then they have the most para-educators of the schools right now, which is cool to see, and they're meeting bi-monthly just to discuss what plans they have, how they want to grow, how they can develop their work that they're doing right now. And then the last thing that he recommended I share on was their work with the Challenge program. I think that some of you guys might have heard about their Walk to Math that they're doing now, where the Challenge program kids, you can you start in your class, but then when it's math time, some kids will stay in that class, some kids will walk to like a 5th grade teacher or a 3rd grade teacher, depending on where you are. And he just said it's giving lots of responsibility and trust to the kids for them to learn like where they want to go, how they're doing it, and he just said it's been working very well. But that's what I got for Island View.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that worked. You had a lot of good stuff to share. So, all right, Paige, NCTA.
Yeah, so I did NCTA, and similar to Gabby, I tried to make it a little bit less formal, and I always personally like the anything else you'd like to share question the best. But I first started by asking about kind of what the main goals are, and so Miss Brower shared with me that they kind of have two things happening right now. So they have a grant with Limitless Learning Network, and that is basically where their students can go to Bellingham Tech or Skagit Valley College, and it's like an internship, but they also get a stipend for it. So they go and they kind of learn about, you know, what college life is like. Then they go back to NCTA and are like a mentor to those students, which I really loved her talking about that, because it really felt like a full circle moment. And so then those class mentors can come back and kind of teach the students like, oh, this is how you enroll in college, and this is what it's like. And they can do a tour of the colleges as well, which I think is really cool and kind of helps with that transition from, you know, next steps in your education. And then the other one is the English 101 classes that they're trying to implement. So in the Mount Vernon campus, they're doing the pre-nursing and money and business. And so they're trying to interwoven English within their content. And so Skagit teachers and NCTA teachers are working together on this. So students are being taught by both Skagit and NCTA teachers, which I also think is really cool, because that means that students are being introduced to Skagit teachers, which then again makes that transition a lot easier, because then it's like, oh, if I'm going to go to Skagit after NCTA, I already know some of the teachers and have relationships with them, and they know how I learn and work. And then, of course, continuing with belonging in student agency. And then my question was, how are you collecting progress, or how are you tracking student progress? Because I always think this is really interesting, especially in an alternative setting like NCTA. So Ms. Brower let me know that it's a lot about industry standards, and so NCTA is really trying to get students prepared for work. So the goal of NCTA is to have students go right from their programs into jobs. And so she gave the example of like welding, and so you can see at the very beginning of the year, you know, kids of all skill levels, but they improve as the year goes on, and then they'll actually get industry professionals coming in and evaluating their work, which I think is really cool, and then that builds more connections for potential job offers and internships like that. And then I think it's just cool with the hands-on evaluations, so really seeing your progress through hands-on learning. And then anything else she wanted to share that they're really trying to collaborate within the program. So while I attended NCTA my sophomore year, we didn't do a ton of that, but I always thought it was really cool, like money and business and then the culinary arts program would mesh together, and that really just gives them real world experience, because it's not, you know, just cooking food that you have to do for a restaurant. You also have to deal with the finances and stuff like that. And then they're really working hard on being able to provide students with however they come in walking in the door. So they'll do whatever they can between the hours of 8 and 2. So they'll meet the student where they are, which I think is huge. And then her biggest kind of celebration or excitement is that next year they're going to be doing 8 different programs, adding 8 different programs from 3 to 5:30, with the goal of having like a bigger range of students being able to attend. So whether that means that they're not morning learners or they have previous commitments in the morning, so that could even be like family responsibilities or their full day of school. And then they can come to NCTA from 3 to 5:30 to really give them the opportunity to continue to expand their learning. So yeah, thank you.
Those were both great reports. Thank you, guys. All right, Mike, it looks like you have a finance update for us.
Yeah, enrollment, I have nothing really much to say about it as we're kind of going along. My 25 down may be, conservative where we end up, but I still want to plan on it as our worst case scenario. But I added 2 new reports to the enrollment report. One of them is for our total enrollment, and it's kind of trends, so it compares this year to the previous year, so you can kind of see where we were at. And this one, it jumps up a lot from September to October because Running Start doesn't really count until October. There's no Running Start in September. So that's why that'll be a jump up there. There was always an increase a little bit, but it jumps up a lot more on that one. And whereas if you look at the next one on our in-person enrollment trends, you'll see it does go up a little bit in October, but not as great as it does with the Running Start numbers. So the first point on the left is what we budgeted. Therefore, you're able to quickly see in September and the rest of the year where we go from there. And the last number, the last point on the chart on the far right is our average for the year. So you can see where did we budget, where did we end up, and where we were the last couple of years, which was nice. And how it kind of looks this year, where we started a little high and we kind of went down, and I believe it'll kind of follow that trend of the rest of the year, where it kind of goes down through June, and the average will be, between that October and June range. But at least it gives you a little more visual on the enrollment to monitor it this way. I attended a meeting with other business managers and superintendents and stuff, and they kind of showed a couple of charts up there like this, and I liked this one and said, oh, I love this one. I'm going to use it.
Thank you. The visuals, I know Jenny's not here to thank you for getting things in ways we can understand, so I'll make sure to do it because we appreciate it every time. But that is, for me, so helpful. So thank you.
Great.
Is the uptick in June, does that reflect an actual uptick in enrollment, or is that just the chart moving back to the average?
It's not an uptick in June. That's the last one at the very end there is the annual average. So therefore, really, that dot at the end is probably right about in the middle of about October and the June. June is typically the lowest of the whole school year. So you're getting that uptick because it's doing that average for the year. That's why right now, if you look at our average year to date, we're down maybe 17, 18 from projections in in-person enrollment, but it's going to continue to decline for the rest of the year. And where we end up average is going to be a little different.
Questions?
Any other questions on enrollment?
Guess we're ready for finance.
Okay. Otherwise, my November financial report, I think, and one of the things I think I'll point out in enrollment is even though enrollment in person is down 18, right? District-wide, due to the increase in the Running Start numbers, we're down 5. So we won't feel the impact financially in January will feel an impact of about 5 kids. So it might be $50,000, and therefore for the whole year, we're about halfway paid. We're going to feel a $25,000 impact, negative cash flow in January when it adjusts to actual, right? Because we're getting the money, but I'm paying out more money to the community college, you know, than what we had initially budgeted. And we haven't paid that yet. We've paid some of it. We've paid fall, but we haven't paid for winter yet. We haven't paid for spring. So the impact of that financial won't really happen until April and the end of the year. So I just want to be clear that, you know, but the in-person enrollment going down is going to affect us, but probably not more till the end of the year because of when we're paying the community college. Does that make sense? Okay. So I just kind of want to talk that through with you because I do expect a decline in our apportionment in January. It's just not going to be substantial. That'll help us, though, with the cash flow. So, I'm running a little behind on revenues. Grants was one of them again. We always kind of run a little behind on revenues. I'm up on transfers, though, and again, I think we spent a lot of money up front kind of on a lot of things at the beginning of the year. So we're higher on that. Total, really, I'm off about $4,346 on the $12.5 million we've spent so far, so pretty close overall. And expenditures are actually to the good from what I originally projected going along this point, to $164,000, and we're doing better in the MSOCs and the payroll area. And all the bills were paid as of this time. I mean, we're not, you know, they have been every month. We don't hold anything. So I think we're doing okay on it overall. So we're up from where I projected we would be based on where we started the year, about $160,000. And that's mainly due to expenditures being lower than projected.
Understood your first point clearly.
Yep.
So we haven't had to pay the Skagit Valley bill yet, but we know that it's out there. So we're going to have something that sort of resembles artificial funds on hand, but we know that we have an outstanding bill that we have to honor.
Yes.
Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
So even though I'm down 18 kids, say, you know, I'm up 13 to the county. So I'll just say that's about $130,000 for the year that I'm up currently. And I'm going to be paying that to Skagit Valley College, right? But I've paid them for the fall because the fall quarter ends for them, and then they invoice us for it, and we pay them. Winter's not done yet, so I haven't paid that. So I've paid a third of that extra amount, but I haven't paid the other 2/3 for it, and I won't for a while.
So when looking at cash on hand, we just need to keep in mind that the number that we see needs to be taken in the context of knowing there is a bill coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's why so far I've kind of stated over the last few months, keep in mind, you know, we're getting money based on what I budgeted through December. So we need to keep that in mind, that we're actually going to get less come January when they adjust us to actual. Then I was making sure you're aware that when they adjusted us to actual, I'm only really off 5. It's not going to be a huge adjustment, but it will be later when we pay those bills because of how it's allocated to us or what it's for. It's about the same amount of money per student still. It's just used differently.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for having things not be a surprise because you keep letting us know and explaining it to us as we go, and I really appreciate it.
I try to make sure there's no surprises.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right, time for committee updates. Do we have a WIAA update, Jack? Meredith, do we have a legislative update?
I just want to say that you would expect that I would because we're in session, right? But so I have a big, long list of bills that WASDA's watching, and last week, and so session's only been going on for 2 weeks now, and they've mostly been in committee. Everything's in committee. This week, WASDA had a call out to comment on a few of the bills. we had already commented on those bills through the work that we've done with our legislators for that part, and they've all made it out of committee. So I think the next steps for us will be just to track where those bills are between myself and Justin and Mike, and when there's a call to action coming, when we finally are to the point where we're looking at a vote and we know that there's some importance in hearing from the community, then we can talk about that communication out and how we can make sure that we are heard again. So for now, they're all just kind of baking in committee and spinning themselves out to get onto the docket, to get on the floor.
All right, thank you. All right, for policy governance, we have the pillar report on quality instruction. Dr. Irish.
Thank you. So you all have read the report. I'm just going to highlight some of the main points in each section. At the beginning of the report, I intentionally laid out, in order to explicitly show the coherence across the organization, everything from the board's work around executive limitations to the board policies and to the WASDA standards, and how those three areas connect with the work of the strategic plan and the goals that we have. So you can see, what I want you to see is that your influence and the work you do aligns with the work that the executive team does. The report is broken out into two sections. One is a part of my annual evaluation update, and the other is an added component of me just giving you more context that's not connected necessarily to the evaluation, but provides more context around the general actions within the curriculum and instruction pillar. So within the targeted goals that we identified in August, we are focusing this year on creating systems that support professional learning and continuous improvement, including district-wide understanding of equity and hands-on student-centered approach with technology as a powerful tool. Within that larger 5-year goal, we've been focusing narrowly on 1.1b, which is staff collaborate and engage in continuous improvement processes. And you can see the action items there, that the goal here is that our leadership teams, which is mostly our principals, are using and identifying data sources, creating plans for collecting data as a part of their school improvement planning, and applying skills and analyzing those data sources to collaboratively identify root causes, improve teaching and learning, and address barriers for school-wide improvement. And we're using the AWSP framework, which is the principles framework of components 3, 5, and 8 as a guide to help lead that work. The biggest work that we have been doing in relation to these actions is that connecting the district strategic plan, the annual operating plan, and the principal leadership frameworks, the teacher evaluation framework, and the student learning goals, to make sure there is coherence between all of those systems, and that principals are using those frameworks, whether it be their principal evaluation framework or the teacher's evaluation framework, in leading school improvement and improving teaching and learning outcomes for students. You can see a diagram here of those nested areas and how they align. There are 5 areas that we've been working on with principals. One is identifying data sources. The other is the application of the data analysis and the collection of those plans. The third is the inclusive teaching, teacher leadership component, and then 4 is the equity-centered data plan practices, and then 5 is the systemic implementation for instructional leadership. So what we have done is, in the school improvement plans, we've shared this with you in your site visits. We've implemented a data plan component to the school improvement plan, which is new. It has not been public on our website yet because it's still really fresh and new for our principals, and they're trying it out. And then they will give me input on how this is working this year and to revise the template next year to make that work. The whole idea of the data plan is to be really intentional about what summative and formative data measures that they're collecting throughout the year, to monitor and make adjustments throughout the year in timely ways to improve instructional practices and student learning. We spent time on really narrowing in on the school-based instructional leadership teams and defining what that means across the schools to create coherence. So past practice has been that in every building, the principals led a very different way and had different makeup of their leadership teams. And so we collectively work together to build what that kind of job description looks like if you're going to be on the leadership team, and what the work really is. And the work is about the school improvement plan, and leading that work and designing the professional learning within the building, and then connecting it to the teachers' PLCs. And then a new component this year for us is implementing a principal learning network, which is in coherence with the teachers' principal or professional learning community, where the principals are working together monthly, bringing data. We just started it last month. They've identified what data sources they want to bring that are formative data measures, whether it be artifacts, whether it's minutes, meeting minutes, whether it's formative assessments, classroom-based assessments, that they're bringing to meetings to identify ways in which they can grow as leaders and make adjustments as leaders in real time, and to learn from each other in that principal learning network. This is a very new process, and we're having our second one on Tuesday. And then the other added component of this whole wide system is bringing in teacher leaders across the organization. So 12 teachers have volunteered to be a part of a teacher leadership group that meets with me about monthly, depending on breaks. And we've been studying street data, looking at that practices, thinking about all we're doing right now is unpacking what is currently happening in their building, and then they are looking at what best practices are from the book, and then they're trying to identify where the gaps are between what is happening, what are best practices, and then what needs to be improved, and how can they, as teacher leaders, influence the leadership team and influence the leadership as with their influence colleagues within their school system. The principals and the teachers, based on the book, have created a definition of street data that is an operationalized definition for Anacortes. And then on top of all of that, we've been implementing the new teacher evaluation system, which is aligning to this work. More teachers are looking at student growth goals and their teacher practice. If you recall, we had a study session about this, and connecting what are students doing and how do they know that their teaching practices are improving as a result of the students' actions. So that's the big work around the focused part of our strategic plan. In addition to that, we've been doing a lot of other things. So we have general updates on our curriculum instruction as well. We have our goal is to offer competitive contracts, and that is, as you know, we have 6 open contracts this year with bargaining, and we're trying to strike that balance of being able to balance meeting the employee needs while also maintaining long-term financial stability. And Connie has been the key leader in helping make that happen. The other area of focus is that we have rigorous course offerings, including multiple pathways for success. And the specific goal we're working at there is the 7-period day at the middle school. We had a study session on that as well, so you have a better understanding of that work. And then we also have looked at another huge win for us is Kristen's work with special education. And as you know, those of you who've been on the board for a while, we have not been meeting expectations at the state level in regards to our special education determination ratings, and we've been out of compliance. And so there are 4 levels, and we've been balancing between levels 2 and level 3, and this is the first year that we've met level 1, and that has a lot to do with Kristen's leadership in creating coherence across the organization, accountability, professional development, and having targeted action plans so that we can reach that goal. And I'll leave it there. Those are just some of the big highlights.
All right, yeah, you covered a lot of them. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add or ask?
So, and we're talking in closed session about all of the points, right? So now we're just asking questions or clarification. Thank you. First of all, it took me just a little bit to get into the new format, but by the end I like it. So I just had to wrap my head around a little different way of reading this. but it feels incredibly comprehensive. And I know it's a lot of work to do them. And so I'm hoping you found the pieces and were able to do some cutting and pasting because it was a lot of work. The one thing, there's so many good things to talk about in here and so many areas where we're going to just keep growing. And what I want to call out is that I think that, I had some concerns about the street data book being relevant to some of the work that we do here because we're different than some of the communities in which the authors were able to, do their work. And my favorite part in reading this is I really feel like you and your team and the teachers, your teacher leader group have made it our own, like found a way to take that and really put an Anacortes voice into it and the needs for Anacortes schools. And when I first started reading, I was like, oh, street data, how am I going to feel about all of this? And by the end, I just really felt like we were able to take some concepts and you've all turned it into something really great for us that we can keep growing from for our students. And I was really excited about that. So thank you.
Well, I don't want to rehash because I know we have it, but also I do want to call out that so many of the things that you've accomplished, your team, are the things we were really worried about. And this is when we were, we're cutting and how is this thing going to impact the classroom? How is it, we're curriculum, professional development. And you said, here's my plan. I'm going to involve the principals. I'm going to be involved. And we're, again, not surprised because you let us know the plan is there. And it's working, and we're finding successes and positive ways to continue to grow and move forward and improve things for our students. In spite of all the negative stuff, this is the amount that you have the ways that you're innovating and bringing that to, I can see it in those professional development days. I hear it from teachers, the principal, just having that transparency and a whole team that's just continuing to make everyone stronger. So appreciate that leadership from both of you and your whole team, and the amount of time it took you to put all that together. I really appreciate having it all in one spot. So, and I know it took extra time, but thank you.
I titled this like making lemonade out of lemons. Like it was really, right? Like all of the challenges and then finding a way to somehow turn them into bright spots and really empowering the staff. So it felt really good.
All right, so no other comments. I will, would anyone like to?
I move that we approve the quality instruction pillar report.
Thank you, Meredith. I have a second.
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. The pillar report, quality instruction, passes 4-0. All right, new business, resolution 997, fiscal stabilization plan. Anyone saying anything about, are you?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I talked about this briefly in my comments. This is an opportunity for you as a board to set some guideposts around the really difficult work that we have ahead of us in regards to stabilizing our financial situation. So again, I thank you for putting those guardrails up and giving me direction on what I need to do.
So that we can discuss if we want, I will make a motion that we approve resolution 997.
Again, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Resolution passes. Okay, policy 3209 this is a first read. Responding to hate speech and bias incidents and procedure.
Yeah. So thank you. I took your feedback from the study session. There wasn't a lot of revisions. It was a matter of, there was just the one of making sure that the language aligns, and it does, between the policy and the procedure. And other than that, is pretty much, with exception of that one thing, very similar to what you already looked at. This is an opportunity for us to, with the policy and the procedures, to ensure that we are specifically addressing hate speech. I want to clarify also that, some of the questions that you all had in the study session is that doesn't this fit with the harassment, intimidation, and bullying policy? And it might, but hate speech does not necessarily mean that it's harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Harassment could also mean that someone says something that is inappropriate, but it's not targeted to an individual, and therefore it's not harassment, intimidation, and bullying, but it still needs to be addressed. And so this is helping us fill that gap of what's needed.
All right, I appreciate this is a theme through everything you presented tonight, which is this transparency and getting everyone on the same page. And I think for something like this, certainly heard staff and a little bit of student feedback even about how helpful this is going to be. And I know people have been asking for it, and I am really proud of the fact that we're setting this example and figuring it out, and hoping to be able to do it in other aspects of my life too. Just with like these, it's really great to have that common language and know what we're talking about so that we can hold ourselves to a higher standard and keep learning. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, regrettably, the newspaper carried a quote this week that I think did not do a very good job of capturing the context of a comment that I made. Those of you that were in the room, I think and I've spoken with some of you, the context was lamenting the state of affairs that we as a nation find ourselves in that necessitates policies like this. It was not a commentary on the professionalism or the quality of our faculty or staff. The context of that comment would have been very helpful had it been included in the quote that was in the newspaper, but it wasn't. So I wanted to make sure that was clarified here.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Yes, I got, like I said, I saw the tail end of Dr. Dewey presenting it to her staff as she was wrapping up, and it mirrored those conversations in the we're all in this together. I was like, this is not just, our classroom, our school, our city, it's our state, our nation, our world, this is and I know that is what we're hoping for there. So thank you. Any other comments or anything? Because we don't have an action on this one. Just to make sure. Okay. All right. Then we're going to move on to school board officer elections. And the first one is for president. So if anyone has someone they would like to nominate.
I would like to nominate Jenny Beltramini for school board president for 2025.
Thank you, Meredith. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All right. So yes. And then now that I have that nomination, yes, I need to. Actually, yeah, we still call for a vote as well. So yes,
or
if you
each
could
one?
for each one. Yes. So yes, you're nominated. So now we'd like to vote on that. Would anybody like to? Right. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay.
You're
Then
okay.
just yes. Yeah or nay?
Yeah or nay?
Okay.
Yay.
All right. She always leaves me with things I absolutely don't know how to do. I just thank you so much, President Beltramini. All right. So passes 4-0. All right. Next would be Vice President. Do I have a call for nomination?
I'd like to nominate Diana Farnsworth for vice president of the school board.
Thank you, Heather. Have a second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That'd be 4-0.
Passes. Yeah.
I'll be vice president. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I need policies and procedures for each thing I do, apparently. All right. Next is our WIAA rep. I have a nomination for that.
I would like to nominate Jack Curtis as the WIAA rep for 2025.
Thank you, Meredith. Second.
Second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Okay. Passes 4-0. Jack will be our WIAA rep. And do I have a nomination for our legislative rep?
I'll nominate Meredith McElmoyle as our legislative rep.
Thank you, Jack. Second.
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Passes 4-0. All right. There's our team. Okay. And then now we have the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say about that?
Just before there's a motion, I just want to make sure that we publicly recognize all these amazing donors who are giving not so small sums of money to support our students. Just looking down the list, at the risk of missing somebody, but the Island View PTA, HF Sinclair, and ASF, amazing partners. I just want to make sure that they're recognized before we approve the whole A through M. So I'll hold off unless there's any other comment, but if there's not, I move.
I'll say one thing along those lines, because since not everybody gets to benefit from our study sessions quite as much. Yeah, the amount of people that give in our community and that we see every month, but every day as well, and how much people are supporting us is always really fabulous to watch. And I'm also excited to see some of the things that our different clubs are going to. There's a lot of good trips in there. So if there's not any more comments, I will accept a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda items A through M.
Thank you, Jack. Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, consent agenda passes. Thank you. And now we have our board calendar. So we have a site visit on February 6th at Mount Erie Elementary. My nephew's going to be so excited. He's been wondering why I haven't been to his school yet. He's heard I've been to the others. February 20th, study session and business meeting. March 6th, site visit to Anacortes Middle School. And now we're going to have an executive session to review the performance of Public Employee Quality Instruction Pillar Report. And someone's going to have to remind me on how now I can close this one. But then do I need to make a public statement somewhere about our executive closed session, or is it fine? Yeah, I think a half hour is a good,
30, I think 35.
Okay, RCW 42.31.1109. G. All right. That's what we're going to do. But you guys are free to go.
That's okay. That's okay.
I knew I was going to overcomplicate it. She's like, well, and then this. Like,
we would all. It's just tell her.
the executive session is now done.